Hey everybody, welcome to Stacie D and the Yeti, your favorite place for all kinds of nonsense, and today a little bit of love.
That is right, my friends. Today we're going to talk about the moment that we knew that, solid love.
That we were in love. So before we get too far into that, make sure you guys hit subscribe, hit follow, and tell all your friends that need to know what love is like to check us out. This woman, this broad right here, she approached me and she's like, listen Yeti, she's like, I think that we need to make a video about the moment, the very moment that we fell in love.
I thought you were already launching into the story and I had approached you and just went into launching into you being a Yeti, and that's how...
Well, that's pretty much how our life is. She is right into it. So listen, so what we were talking about, she said, hey, listen, I think it'd be a great idea since we've been married 17 plus years. That's kind of the point of this channel, to share our lives. All this marriage, all these kids, 3 kids, two current dogs, a bunch of houses, many different states, currently nomads, all kinds of crap in our story. But how did it get started? When was that one single moment that we just knew that we were in love? So, you want to go first?
Nope.
That's boring.
Okay, we would like to say that I was ready to marry this guy when I was 16. I wasn't allowed to marry him when I was 16, and I didn't tell him that I wanted to marry him at that age, because that would have been...
Am I smoldering too much in the camera?
Because I don't even know how that would have gone. Technically, he hadn't even told me he loved me yet. So I think just jumping in with like, oh, I'll be your wife forever.
Short answer?
Might have been a little much.
Short answer, I'd have ran away.
Wow.
That's short answer. So, okay,
All right.
I can jump into my story so we don't get this too far stretched out here. But listen, I do love her. And as far as our children know, we've been married since we were born. So, when it comes to whatever you do in high school, kids are idiots, and we are no different. We are stupid just like the next teenager. No, we were stupid just like teenagers.
At any point in history.
At any point in history. I would like to say that we're different now. So here's the story goes.
I would hope so.
Right, because we told you our first kiss. Mm-hmm. It was the day before my birthday. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it was my junior year of high school.
Yes.
And so we were on. And off and on and off and on, being stupid teenagers. So I had graduated high school, had a summer, I was working, all that grown up bullcrap, and I had just experienced what I would call heartbreak. And it was a bit of a bummer, but I'm not going to dwell on that because that's the past and really it doesn't exist. So listen, so there it was. There she was riding on her blue stallion, right? Are you like a knight in shining armor?
Right, my car was...
It was a prelude.
My
she was
car was
riding a
blue.
prelude. But so she and her friend were scheming. They were like, you know what? I'm gonna take this guy some cookies, snickerdoodle cookies. And they came over to my house, right? Well, it was actually my parents' house, but came over to my house. Here I am, 18 years old, right? All kinds of messed up. Not really in a good place. Like, what is happening? Well, I was always in a good place, not really in a good place, but what is happening? And then here this woman comes bringing me cookies with her best friend. And this is one story. I'm gonna get back to this story, okay? So with us, ever since I knew her, it was, I could look back, and I remember we had a moment. I said, I'm gonna look back. I said, holy crap, you're gonna be my high school sweetheart. Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, it wasn't an endearment though. He wasn't excited about it.
It was like a shock, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be my high school sweetheart.
Oh, I spent a lot of time with you, huh?
So we spent a lot of time together. So for her to come over and bake me cookies, it's almost like it wasn't something out of the ordinary, but we hadn't been talking too much, leading up to that, because we were both on other adventures, right? Getting other experience to learn how stupid we were apart. And so then she shows up, she's wearing this like bandana top. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, I didn't know we were going to go into
listen, because I know the moment, right? Because I got the memory like a bandana top. It's like, pow, it's tied here, comes down to a point there. There's a whole lot of back skin showing and some cookies. And we're still teenagers. And I'm like, what is happening here? But listen, here's the twist. Her experience hadn't ended. She was still having her own experience over here while she brought me some cookies. And so it was from that moment though, like I knew, I'm gonna say, this is the closest I can get to that one moment. It was probably a whole lot of moments that came to that, but I knew that I was in it to win. And now it was game on. Like I was fixing to end her other experience. And I actively did. I call it guerrilla warfare. It was like I was at work and I would write her a letter. I'd stop at a florist. I put some flower petals into this letter envelope. I would take it to her high school and they would deliver it to her in class. And these are the types of things I did because maybe I didn't respect this other individual, but maybe it wasn't about that. It was about I knew what was up, right? Because I knew that I loved her, right? Because you guys are talking, we're in the fall of 01. 11/7/01 is when I told her I loved her. So in this short period of time, I knew that I was gonna do whatever I had to do to make her mine. And then once I did, then I told her I loved her, and you guys know the rest is history. But that was just one of those moments, man. She's all up in my history. I can't look back and see a memory really without her at some point, and I just knew, my gosh, dang, I'm gonna marry that woman. Can you freaking top my story?
Okay, so probably not. That was really good. So, all right. So like I said before, at 16, I would have totally married him. But at this point as well, like I also didn't know the Lord at that point. So I can't say that I actually understood what love was at that moment. So that can't really be.
That means she was lusting after me.
Yes. I can't say that those moments, although they led up to other things, was the epitome of understanding what I wanted. So to go back a little bit with what your story had entailed, I had, since we had been experiencing other things, I was having a hard time with his experience, and we weren't talking very much, and just a little bit here and there.
Turns out I was having a hard time with my experience as well. See previous story.
Sure, right? So when he, I lost my whole train of thought. So when, like, I'm not kidding, 2 to 3 days before he was having a hard time with his own experience, I had decided that it was okay. Like I was gonna be okay with whatever the future held. I wasn't gonna be upset about anything anymore, because sometimes you get upset about things. And I was okay. And then all of a sudden he tells me his scenario and his situation. And you know, my first response was, I was so sad for you. And so I said, hey, we're gonna make some cookies. So that's when we brought him over. And in that moment, I was genuinely just
sad for me.
I was just genuinely trying to be a good friend. Like, it's okay that, you know, whatever is going on with us, it's fine. I want you to be happy. You're a very happy person in general. Let me bring you up a little bit. Let me help you just a bit. So then during all this, when he was guerrilla warfaring and all those things.
What I like to call winning.
I had decided that we could hang out, but it was gonna be with other people. Like I wasn't gonna put us in a situation while I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on in any kind of situation. Like
right, because it's important to stand your ground, right? Because if you're committed in any direction, then you should be committed in that direction, even if the other direction is sending you letters with roses.
And also, just a quick note that I decided that if this was gonna happen again, he was gonna work for it. You know what I'm saying? So it was not gonna be easy. I wasn't gonna just jump back in and be like, okay, you know, like no.
You mean he didn't?
No, he had to work for it. He had to send me those letters. He had to woo me a bit. And so, all right. So there we were. We had just decided we were gonna hang out, but because we weren't gonna hang out just solo, right? I said we have to bring a friend along, and so we decided to bring a friend along that actually accompanied us a lot on our just adventures and outings. And we were standing at his front door, and we knock or whatever, and we're just like waiting, we're staying there, and he looks over at me, and the most serious look I've ever seen on his face, ever. And he goes, "Your hair is so beautiful." And I was like, I just stopped, I was frozen. Because I'd never seen him with that much intensity in his face, that seriousness in his eyes.
Hold on, like the Hodge twins?
Yeah, and you were so genuine, and it wasn't like you were coming after me. There wasn't shenanigans behind it. There was 100% shenanigans behind it. I can see that now. But it got me. And I knew in that moment, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble, and that really corresponds to I can't fight it anymore.
So we're telling this big elaborate story.
Yes.
You're in trouble, but when was the moment you knew that you loved me? Was that the moment you knew right then that you loved me? Because, I mean, it was at that moment we all knew she was in trouble. I mean, that got my heart pumping just hearing it again. But when did you know you loved me? When did you know? I mean, obviously, it was way before. But when did you actually know?
I know. So that's
it
the
was
thing.
just like,
It
boom,
was-
this is it. This is it. I got to make some moves.
I would say it wasn't shortly after that particular moment. Okay, there was this moment where I was sitting there and I knew I was at a crossroads with my experiences. And I said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And the phone rang and you were on the phone and I knew I needed to change the direction I was going. And so I made a swift decision. I changed directions instantly. I took your phone call. I went to your house.
And probably drove me to get some Taco Bell.
Probably, but no, actually no. We were on your front porch and we had what I would like to consider.
You came to my house for
came-
dinner and a movie.
I came to your house and here's the thing.
I do remember that.
This is so cool. So okay, so everything's settled. This is the direction I decided to take.
She was friggin' mine.
And then he gave me a really sweet kiss on the front porch of his parents' house, and there was a rainbow going in the cornfield across the house from one end to the other. It was the first time I'd ever seen
God was on my side.
a full-fledged rainbow from one end to the other, and I knew that was probably the moment.
Holy crap, that whole night was amazing, by the way. I can't tell you what movie it was, but I can't tell you what dinner it was, but she came over there for dinner, and then we just hung out. We went back and watched the movie, and it was awesome, you know? And I do remember that. That was like the beginning of the rest of our lives.
Yep, and he kept telling me, excuse me, he kept telling me that this time would be nothing short of love. And he had to prove it. Again, he had to work for it, but
I worked my butt off. And when you're talking about teenage effort, but you're talking about raw man effort experience. Like, I worked for it. I brought it hard, man. And so 11701, I mean, it was just months later, I told her I loved her. And then, you know, the rest is history, like we said. Now we're talking about those little spinny pre-engagement rings and shopping for engagement rings. I think it's a great story and a great past. Everybody has their own experiences. Everybody has their own life, their own stories. But you know what? This is ours, and that's what we wanted to share with you guys today. So we hope that you are just freaking falling in love with somebody you care about, and that you are living your best life. Settle for nothing. Work for it, push for it. You know, make sure that you know, and then you task that.
I got a tat.